Hi everyone, this is John. I'm in Morro Bay, California. I had the day off, so I thought, let's go for a long drive and turn back around. But first, I wanted to stop at Morro Bay. I came here a long time ago when I was getting into photography, and I didn't, especially with digital photography, I didn't know the difference much between a JPEG file and a RAW file and all of that. So there's a photo that I really like that I took a long time ago, but I shot in JPEG and a low-res JPEG, so I thought, I can fit more files or more images onto a memory card, and the resolution's not that big. So now I'd love to make a print of that photo, but the photo is so small, it's not really usable. It looks good on my phone. That's about it. So I'm here again, and it's funny, the conditions are exactly the same, cloudy, overcast, and I've got a medium format camera this time. So I've got a few options. So I just did a black and white comparison, film comparison, and I came away thinking I like the Kodak better. And it's just a good contrast and overall sharpness and everything. I like it. It's Kodak TMX 100. So again, I'm only here for a little bit. There's actually a photo I liked further inland, but I was coming here first, so we'll try to get two locations in. I don't really know much about Morro Bay. It looks cool. It's a big rock. There's this little rock right there. And Morro means baby, so I'm curious if the actual name of the place is after this little rock versus the big rock. Either way, it's cool. So the composition's fairly simple, and that's what I really like it. It's clean. There's this simple water, the simple tones. That's why I'm using black and white. I could use color, but there really is no color to photograph, so it makes the choice easy. And I just like the offset of the negative space, and so I'm just focusing. This camera is all mechanical, and most versions of this come with a sort of a look-down viewfinder. This one has one with a spot meter built in, so you just push this button to turn it on, and then look for the green dot. And it's telling me at f11, roughly, these are the f-stops on the right, and these are the corresponding shutter speeds. So if I want to shoot, let's say f11, it's telling me middle gray is roughly 250th of a second or 125th of a second. Now, I can brighten it, thinking with the zone system, counting stops. So like I count 1 stop, 2 stop, 3 stop, and so on. And then I adjust it on the lens. It's already at f11. So if I go to 125th of a second, it should get me there. I'll get the dark slide open. Put it there, and I should be good to go. Since this camera is so heavy, I want to use a cable release. No jokes, please. So without changing the composition, I'm going to do one more with an ND filter. It's a 6-stop ND filter. I just really want to smooth out that water. And with this camera, it's a little tricky because on a digital camera or most cameras, there's a setting called bulb, where as long as the shutter's pressed, the shutter stays open. When you let go, it closes. This one doesn't exactly have that. You have to do it sort of manually. It's where you open the shutter and you click the trigger, and it'll close it back up. Now the other tricky thing is I can't compose with this filter on. So I cheated with my digital camera that is unseen right now, which is being shot with right now. And I measured the exposure with that. So because this shutter speed or the since there's no second counter, the slowest this goes is 1/10 of a second, and you can't set it beyond that. So it's a little tricky. So I have to count with my phone based on. So I did a meter at f/16, and with my digital camera, it's saying about 4 seconds. So I need to learn my f-stop math better. I can just calculate it in my head or with an app, but I didn't bring that app. So without changing the composition, I'm just adding this. I'm setting it to the timer, which really isn't a timer. It's just sort of a pseudo bulb setting where as long as it'll stay open, but then I have to click this ever so softly to stop the exposure. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. A question some people might ask, and perhaps I'm even asking myself, is why in a world of digital cameras and technology and instant would I go for an old film camera from the 70s? Where it takes a week to get the film back, you have to scan it, and you're not entirely sure what you get until you see it. And why would I do that? Part of it is just wanting to do something different. I shoot on digital primarily, and I've gotten very used to having the instant feedback. But when I started learning photography, I learned on film with 35mm. And I took a photo class at a community college just to learn how to use it. And we learned in the dark room, developing our own film and making our own prints. And one thing that the class was 35mm. The next class above was medium format, and they had Hasselblad cameras that we could use, but I never got to use them. And they were always seen as sort of like the pinnacle or luxury that that meant you're a pro. And in the back of my mind, I always wanted a medium format. You know, I had that, I guess, that impression from when I was in school. But as I switched into digital, I sort of looked at film and looked at digital and just never looked back. And I saw years ago 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝘀 use like a complete kit for like $800, and I just thought, why do I want to do film, as nice as it might be? So fast forward many years later, and I was watching another photographer use it, and I've always wanted medium format. One, because it's just the next level of quality, not just to look like a pro or anything like that, but just I'm always wanting that extra ounce of quality if I can get it. And with one of these, it's all mechanical. It's all, you know, you're the one controlling it. And the more I get comfortable with that, it's sort of, I've gotten a little bit bored with photography in general because it is so instant. It is so run around. With digital, I tend to just run around and do as much as I can because I can. But with this, it slows me down to look for composition, be a little more picky. But also with the quality, this glass is, if you get it where it's clean, I think it can beat many digital cameras. With the film also, just the larger format, medium format technically, there's 35mm, and then there's large format. In the middle, it's medium. This can hold its own against any digital camera, in my opinion. So one, it's this pursuit of quality, but also trying to hone my craft, but also enjoying it at the same time. I only have one lens, so it makes me very picky. Some things I can't do with this camera, so I still carry my digital with me. I'm not too hardcore, but I feel confident enough that I can use this. But just on a personal side with photography, there's an art to it, and it's hard to put into words. Other photographers, I think, will understand. It's learning to enjoy and capture and create and explore. And this is just another tool in my toolbox. It's not the end-all be-all, but I'm enjoying this. I had it refurbished. The first lens that came with it, it had some fogging issues, and it was just this like frustration, like, did I just waste money or waste time and effort? But I found a place that refurbishes them, a little bit more money, but it's crystal clear now. And I'm excited to get to not just think about cameras again, but more to think about the photos, the going places, meeting people, and just different opportunities. And with this, I don't know how to compare it to megapixels, but with the medium format, this is a 6x7 film format. I've read online, some people say it's equivalent to like 80 megapixels, depending on how you scan it. But it can be equivalent to 80 megapixels, or some say it's 35 to 40. Either way, it's really high resolution. And as I'm getting older, I've noticed in my room and everything, a lot of my photos, they live on a hard drive, on Instagram, on these little things. As I'm getting older, the complete step to me is now seeing a print. And like I said, when I came out here today, there's this photo I've been really wanting to print, but the resolution I originally shot it in was so small, you know, I can only make a 4x6 or something. But with this, assuming I did everything correctly, I'll find out in a week. I can make very large prints, and as I get into that, as my voice cracks, as I get into that, I'll share that with you, and I'll have prints available for anybody that wants. But it's just for my own enjoyment. It's like I do photography as a profession, but as a personal enjoyment to hold on to that purity. It's just something I enjoy. So here's another tool, like I said earlier. And so on to the next location. Well, I said I was going to go to another location, but I didn't really pay attention to time. The sun's already setting and it's getting dark. So I've got a bit of a drive back home. It's about 4 hours. I'm crazy like that. So I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I did. It's been real, it's been fun, and it's been real fun. As always, if you have any comments or questions, leave them down below, or any recommendations for places or ideas. Love input. Feel free to subscribe. This is John. I'll see you next time. Bye.